Okay, I think that's good. Detta, is that showing up like it's not upside down, right? It's okay. Don't know why. Okay. All right, cool.
You have the not upside down map.
I have it somewhere, yes. Okay. All right. Non-upside down map. All right. Dada, you gotta turn that volume off. Please. Oh, you switch them all around?
Yeah, so you could read them on the camera.
I'm not worried about the words for these. I'm worried about the toe placement. That's okay. Thank you. Okay. Hi. Sorry. Hello. Jamie Allen Bishop with Soul Heart Entertainment here. We're here to do some toe reading today. Yay! My husband went out, what a sweetheart he is, and made sure that I had a reversed image of my toe reading map for you guys so that it's easier to follow along with. So yay. So I'm gonna show you that, and hopefully it can be read really easily. Yay! Okay, so in toe reading, just a quick little summary. What we're looking at is our left foot is our yin foot, or our, on the bottom I have it, that's our relationship to ourselves. And our right foot is our relationship to others. It is the yang foot. So the yin and the yang of life. And the right foot is kind of how we show up in the world. And the left foot is how we show up for ourselves. You can see that I have past and future here on both sides. If your toes are pointing out toward, I think of it as, you know, what we hold stays within us, and that's typically from our past experience. And what we're looking forward to is outside of ourselves. So, you know, we're reaching for it. So that's kind of how I remember those things when I'm looking at that. So I know that a lot of people that are in my circle of influence right now are dealing with financial issues and or abundance issues, really. We're focusing right now on abundance, and thanks to Deepak Chopra, we are doing his 21 days of abundance challenge, and it is quite insightful. If you ever come across that 21-day challenge, I highly recommend getting yourselves involved in it. It's extremely enlightening. And one of the best books I've ever read, as somebody who comes from a Christian, well, I wouldn't say that I was raised Christian, but it definitely is kind of ingrained in my genealogy, is the Christian belief systems. The best book that I've come across, and I've read hundreds of books on prosperity, on self-awareness, on, if not thousands of books, by some of the most incredible authors out there, and I feel very blessed to know several of them. But this book is something that I find to be super, super enlightening, and that is, I know it's backwards, but it is The Complete Works of Florence Shinn. And in particular, the game of life and how to play it. First of all, it was written in 1925. So how cool is that, that she was way ahead of her time as far as the 20th century, and here we are in the first century as far as the thought processes on how to go about bringing abundance into our lives. And so Florence Shinn wrote this fantastic book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. And I highly, highly recommend it, especially if you come from, well, really even if you don't come from a Christian background, because the truth is that Christianity is kind of immersed in many cultural aspects, especially here in America. Founded on Puritanism, we all were. But anyway, so yeah, let's get started on some toe reading. So I am just going to talk a little bit about, today is, or rather June, the month of June is our month of focusing on relationships. And when we're talking about relationships, especially in relation to prosperity and abundance, the biggest challenge, I guess, is being straightforward and upfront, right? With yourself and with your significant other. So one of the ways that will show up in the feet is, first of all, the relationship toe is the second to last toe, or the one right next to the baby toe. And the left foot is our internal self, and the right foot is our external self, or how we show up in the world. And then in how we show up in the world shows up as prosperity and abundance, and how we show up for ourselves shows up as faith and trust as well. So that's the baby toe on either foot. That's the only toe that's different from foot to foot. The baby toe on the left is about faith and trust, and the baby toe on the right is about prosperity and abundance. Okay. So what I'm talking about when it comes to the relationship toe is I'm talking about being honest. Sometimes finances and or the idea, the concept of abundance in our lives is so different from person to person. I was having a conversation, was it today or yesterday? I forget. Anyway, the conversation that I was having had to do with America in general. And one of the things that kind of struck me as powerful in the conversation was about the feeling of abundance or the feeling of lack, right? So there's one or the other, there's not both. They cannot come together when they're being discussed or thought about, or even how it shows up in our lives, really. So when we're talking about hiding things, or we're talking about not being straightforward and or living in that space of lack, take a look at how this toe kind of takes a dive to the floor and it hides underneath that middle toe, that action or temperament toe. So that's how it would show up if we're not being if we're not standing up for ourselves, if we're not being frank, if we're not being true and honest. So yeah, that's how that would show up on there, on the relationship toe. And that prosperity and abundance toe, you can kind of see that this gal happens to have, like, that toe you can see way better than her relationship toe, and that's kind of rare. So she must have a feeling of prosperity and abundance in her life, but it's, that relationship is affected by the prosperity and abundance and by the action that is being taken. So I guess that the ultimate advice that I would give this person, or it's not really advice, what I would suggest she contemplate is, where in the world is she showing up less than, or feeling a lack of, or, kind of watch the languaging there, watch the future or past tense languaging about blame and guilt and shame around relationships, and specifically around relationships in relation to the action and the abundance in her life, right? So I think that that's really kind of cool. So the other thing that's the other, I know this one isn't backwards, but you can kind of see on this map where it shows up. And that is that on, so the relationship toe is here. It's on that sacral chakra and or the solar plexus. So it kind of shares anywhere between the heart, the solar, and the sacral chakras. You can kind of see that those lines go up through, and that line is kind of shared by both the solar and the sacral, okay? That in relationship, it has a lot to do with that throat chakra and that heart chakra. And where that shows up in our vertebrae is, of course, right here in where the basically where the neck meets the body. Okay, so it shows up right in that throat zone of our spine, and yeah, so interesting, huh? Super cool. All right, moving on. I'll talk about 2 more pictures, and then we'll move on from there. All right, so I wanted to show you guys, I don't think I've showed this image yet, but this is an advertisement image, and I just wanted to show how flawless, if you will, these toes are. They come straight forward. There's not a whole lot of dents or turns. The toenails are nice and clipped back. They're obviously cared for. Of course, it is an advertising for toe reading or toe care. And then just right at the base of here, let me show you the image before I keep going. Just at the base of where the big toe meets the foot and it joins with the communication toe. So the destiny toe and the communication toe are here. It kind of comes to almost a little bit of a square, kind of a flat bottom on both sides. You can kind of see that it forms a little bit of a square there. So this person is a really good big picture thinker. You can see that she has nice, big, juicy, big toes. And she's showing up, who she is how she's showing up. All of those toes are nice and straightforward. She doesn't pretend to be somebody she's not. And that said, she probably hasn't been through a whole heck of a lot. So the wisdom level may be off on this person. They may be somebody who's, kind of a new soul to the human experience. And they may show up as a little bit, I know, honey. I'm sorry, I'm reading my husband's comments. This guy needs to be printed backwards, and yeah, I mirror imaged. I agree. We forgot about that one today. I referenced that one a lot though, so I should probably get that one done. I'll have that one done by next week on Tuesday. Anyway, so in this image, what I'm seeing, oh, hi, Katie, how are you? Thanks for joining. Yay, you're here. Okay, so on these toes, I kind of wanted to show you a picture of what toes that are showing up in the world as that person is being. So their inside is very similar to their outside. All the toes are coming straight off. There's no dips and turns and curves and, toes that are hidden under other toes and all that kind of good stuff. These are some pretty amazing, toes. Now, this person is probably fairly, like I was saying earlier, is probably fairly new as far as being a soul on this planet right now. And I say that because there's no bumps, there's, and not to say that you have to have bumps, you don't, of course not. But let me show you a set of toes that I'm talking about. So like these toes right here, okay? These toes have this line across here and, some lines across the other, there's some lines. These toes have lines the other way, vertical lines when it comes to the toes as opposed to horizontal lines. These toes are showing up as like some of them are kind of turning and dipping, and some are shorter than the others. It's really interesting to me because when you look at these, it's very, very different. It's a very different image that's being portrayed there. So how would you describe these toes as far as what you're seeing? I'm curious to see how you guys describe them before I go on. I'll wait a second. Anybody have some ideas? Yeah, right. I mean, that's the first thing that intuitively came to me, is that this is a new soul. This is somebody who, it may be that when they say things, it seems really illogical or really unwise. And not to say that she's not wise. She probably is. She probably is wise in her own respect. But as far as experience here on Earth, I would guess that she's probably lacking, and it may feel really, really uncomfortable. Yeah, I know, hon. I know. But I have to ask questions. There has to be some sort of interaction, right? I know, I totally love her French pedicure as well. Yeah, young, right? Young, not a whole heck of a lot of experience going on there. Anyway, so yes, absolutely. Now, one of the things that I find really lovely I find her toes very lovely, period, end of sentence. But I do like how kind of even her toes are, whereas other toes that I have pictures of don't really come across as completely even. They're, kind of up and down and backwards and forwards, and the big toe is way longer than the other toes, right? So she's going to come across as somebody who's very upstanding. What she says is what she does. You can definitely trust this person with anything and everything that she takes responsibility for. She's going to be a really great person to work with because she's going to be really easygoing. She might be a little bit outspoken because she's just going to speak her mind. She's not going to worry about what you think of it. I happen to love that kind of person. I happen to very much appreciate that in a worker. One thing that I will say that she's starting to have experience with, and or that, hold on, what does that say? Her feet are unattained by the negative, right? She definitely doesn't have a whole lot of negative experience going on there, which is great. I mean, God bless her. May my feet look like this right now. The baby toe on the left foot, see how it's kind of curved out, and that toenail is pointed to the outside or the future side of her thoughts, feelings, and emotions, right? Whereas, this one is turned a little bit out, but it's not quite as severe. So that leads me to believe that one of the things, these are not Jacelyn's feet. These are this is an advertisement. This is stock photo, which I love because then I don't know who it is. I can't pick on anybody. I have no idea what their actual personality is. I can just guess. And, you know, as anybody who has had a toe reading, either from me or anybody else out there, it's scary accurate how much a toe reading can tell you about where you're at with your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and where that shows up in the world as far as what your experience is. Now, what I was going to say about this one is that she's having a tendency to be in the future when it comes to her faith and trust, okay? And what that looks like, you know, and a tiny bit about her prosperity and abundance, but more about her faith and trust. So what that looks like when it comes to life and when it comes to maybe the challenges that she'll face is, or that she's facing, or was when this photo was taken. She is putting things out in the future as far as faith and trust. So she probably feels like she's giving more than she's getting. And so as time goes on, and as, you know, more challenging events occur in her life, it has a tendency to end up looking, let me find one of these guys out here. It might have a tendency to look a little bit more like, here we go, like, hold that thought, sorry, oh, there we go, perfect image, okay. So it will have a tendency to look a little bit more like this image where, you know, it's almost bubbled up, it's almost hidden underneath. On the left side, it's coming a little bit more straight than the right side. But what that means is that she's going to have to be aware of how she's languaging things for herself. So, oh, yep. Enjoy your baby. Enjoy your conversation with your son. So what that looks like is that there's going to be more energy being given than is being received. Now, if you know anything about the way that my teaching goes, or the way that I coach people, there's no such thing as more or less. It's all equal distribution. So when it feels like less, it's because the focus is on less. Does that make sense? So you know, my concern for this gal right here is that she's going to be focusing a little bit too much on how much she gives and not as much on how much she receives. And so there may be some shifting that needs to happen in that, and there are ways to shift that. And in fact, I was going to be, I almost did this last week and I got sidetracked, so I'll do it this week. This ways to shift your toes in when they're not showing up the way that you want them to show up is to do foot baths, which, I mean, there's all kinds of recipes out there. My favorite is 1 part water to 1 part to, well, a gallon to a cup. Okay, a gallon to a cup. A gallon of water to a cup of baking soda and a cup of salt, and you know, however much of the scent, like an essential oil scent that you enjoy, whatever one you enjoy. That's my favorite one because it's super simple. It's really easy to get a hold of the ingredients. It's you know, if you have tea and you like a certain kind of tea, maybe putting tea in that water. It can soak out some toxins. It can really help to heal anything going on with your feet. It can give your feet that little bit of oomph. But what it comes down to is that you're actually spending time caring for your soul, right? It's no mistake that our feet are referred to as our souls. And, just spending a little bit of extra time, extra TLC time on your feet helps to give them that extra boost that they need to have, soft, supple skin that isn't going against the flow. Now, as you give yourself that foot bath, as you're trying to adjust thoughts, feelings, and emotions to fit what you want to focus on versus what you don't want to focus on, that's where maybe a little gentle massage of your toes comes into play. So when, I love my feet being rubbed, of course. And, if you don't, the question that comes to mind is why? Why do you want to keep people away from your soul? Or where in your life are you keeping people away from your soul or not showing up as the quote unquote real you, right? I mean, you're always the real you, whatever that looks like. But if there's two sides of who you are and who you're trying to be, it can cause some spiritual damage there, right? But this relationship toe is kind of interesting because it comes straightforward, and if you can see that it just kind of bubbles up at the tip, right? So one of the things I wanted to talk a little bit about is that bubbling up of the skin, of the padding around any toe, really. But on this one, it is the relationship toe. So what that means when a toe bubbles up like that is you're holding back, or you're holding on to kind of a set of standards and a set of expectations. Basically, you're holding on to expectations and or ideas of what it looks like. And in this particular case, we're talking about her left foot and her relationship. So that's her relationship with her higher self. So when it comes to her relationship with her higher self, where is she holding back from speaking her truth? Where is she holding back from defining what she expects in life? And therefore, there was reset. 3, 2, 1. When I was a little kid and blowing out the birthday candles, my mom always said to me, "Oh, don't tell anybody your wish. It won't come true," right? I think that a lot of people can relate to that story. I've come to learn that you don't hold back your wish or your dream. You tell everybody and anybody who will listen. The reason being because that's all the more people that can help make it a reality for you, that can help make it come true. So this person is just holding on to ideas of what her relationship with her higher self looks like, and she's hoarding it. So it's showing up as a bubble of hoard, if you will. Whereas you'll notice that this gal doesn't hoard a darn thing. She just lets it all hang out. She knows exactly what she wants, and she says exactly what she wants, and 99% of the time she gets exactly what she wants. Love those toes. All right, so I think that puts us right at 30 minutes. So thank you so much for being here today, and hopefully you will join us again. I'm here every Tuesday for ToesDay at 6 p.m. California time, which is Pacific Standard Time. And I wanted to mention 2 things. One, I put my vision board in the background to show you guys a little bit about what a vision board looks like. This is a Feng Shui vision board. And last year I created it on July 4th, and I will do so again this year. So, but it's really exciting to me to look at it because I can see how many of these things on this vision board have come true for me this year. So it's super, super exciting to see. It's just nice to see the visual. To me, I really, really love all these images. And it's super cool just to see how it ends up showing up in my life when I put it on a vision board. So I'll be creating those on July 4th. I'll probably go live a couple of times throughout the day to share my progress with you, and feel free to join me. The second announcement is that you may or may not know that I do toe readings for a living. That is one of the things that I do. So if you're feeling stuck, or you're not sure how to proceed, you have a question that's been nagging at you and you can't get your own intuitive hit on how to handle it or what to do, toe reading is a fantastically wonderful way to uncover the solution to any kind of question. And to me, I think that most of the people that run in my circle of influence agree that we are fantastic advisors for others. And while we can be pretty good at following our intuition and really getting past our own stuff by following that higher self guidance, we can also get stuck in our way more often than we'd like to. So it's always nice to have that outside, non-emotionally attached opinion on, or it's not really even an opinion, it's an intuitive insight that comes through to somebody else for you, so that you can get past yourself and accomplish things that much faster in life. So it's really an escalation of bringing what you want to you. So anyway, that's a little bit about what's going on around here. I hope you have a fantastic ToesDay, and join us next week for ToesDays at 6 o'clock on Soul Heart Entertainment. Talk to you later. Bye for now.